Duh. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we need an anonymous
seriously?
GM to tell us that, but whose legacy takes a bigger hit with a loss on Sunday night? This is a very, very big matchup. They both had MVP-level seasons. They both have been to AFC Championship games before, but neither of them have been to a Super Bowl. So whose takes a bigger hit with a loss, Lamar or Josh?
You know I'm going to answer your question. But before I even get to answer your question, I want to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Can you have a legacy in your 5th, 6th, 7th?
Absolutely.
You can?
Yes.
It could define you, and you got another 10 years of sports to play.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And some of us, it's only the real special ones.
Oh, I didn't know this early in one's career, if something went wrong, it could define his legacy. So,
well, I mean, I think up until this point, like who you
up
are
until this point, it can define up to this point.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're never going to have an opportunity to.
It's not the end game.
Change. Your
I always thought the legacy was basically the end game. Then we define what that legacy is at that point. Because here we are talking about legacy, and it's fair because Joy answered the question, and I'm not dismissing the question. I just. For somebody
no,
to have
I understand what you're saying. Like, generally, when we talk about someone's legacy, they're at the end of their career.
Yeah.
They've kind of done everything that they're going to do in the league. And
absolutely.
They maybe haven't been to a Super Bowl yet, or they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, or they haven't won an MVP yet, or something to that nature. So I do understand what you're saying.
And I'm going to answer. So if it's everything y'all saying and Paul you saying, it's going to be Lamar then, because based on where he came into the season, coming off of last year, AFC Championship appearance against Kansas City, MVP, two-time MVP, all of those things when we thought Buffalo was going to be in the tank because of Miami, because of Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. So it wasn't really set up for Josh Allen to be the guy at the beginning of the season. And now it turns out that he's in the MVP conversation at the end of the season, but Lamar has coming fresh off an AFC Championship game and yet to get to a Super Bowl. So I would think that it's Lamar, for me especially, and I think it will be Lamar for a lot of people because of last year.
What about narrative? Will the narrative change if legacy is too heavy?
Well, the narrative,
or
if Lamar doesn't win and go on in advance.
It'll hurt the narrative around Lamar more than it will hurt the narrative
1,000%.
Okay.
He can't win in the playoffs. Look, that style quarterback doesn't work, even though they both got the same style. But they're going to, am I right, Joy? They both do the same thing. They both throw the football, and they both run the hell out of it.
Yeah.
They both do the same thing.
I would say they're different in the running style. Lamar is a bit more shifty and
well, they
speed,
look different
and
because
Josh was going to take hits
lumbering and bigger. But my whole thing is they both do RPO. They both pull the ball down. They both run. They both throw. They do all those sort of things. When Brian Daboll was in Buffalo, he studied the Baltimore Ravens film to implement some of that into Josh Allen's game plan. But a lot of people don't talk about that, but I'm going to bring it up. So now that you look at it, Lamar last year coming off AFC Championship game certainly is setting him up for success to go ahead, beat Buffalo, and find himself, we assume, in Kansas City to try to do what they couldn't do week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. If he doesn't get there, it's just going to be, you can't win with that style quarterback. He's only a runner. That's the narrative that will come.
Yeah, I think the obvious choice is Lamar because I think his trajectory is a lot higher and what he's already accomplished, like Keyshawn said. And it's an honor to be in this position. You know, I mean, if they were both to retire today, just think about this. If Josh retired today and Lamar retired today, who would go down as the greater quarterback as of today? Lamar, hands down.
I think so.
Hands down. It's not even close, you know, because he hasn't accomplished half of what Lamar has done, which is, like I said, an honor and a compliment to be in this position because now, from now on, for the rest of Lamar's career, and this is sort of like reminds me of like when LeBron was coming up. Like, seriously, when, like, game-defining games for LeBron, when, like, Game 6 versus the Celtics with us, that was a game-defining. This is what this is for Lamar. Like, this is what you want to see if he can get over the top. And, you know, already being an MVP, these are the games you ask for legacy. You know, you look forward to this, actually.
So you think it's Lamar also?
I think it's 100% because I think he's just a greater player. Overall,
that's why I think it's Josh. I think the pressure is on Josh. They're at home. They've had the better regular season. We're unsure if he's 100% going to win the MVP. So from an individual accolades perspective, Lamar has Josh lapped. He has 2 MVPs. We don't even know if Josh is going to win the MVP this year. And from a winning perspective, recently he does as well because he just went to an AFC Championship game. And that was a box that he recently had to check. He hadn't been to one, and he just did that last year. Either way, it's really splitting hairs because these are teams that we both have expectations of now at this point, and these are both quarterbacks that we have expectations now. But Josh hasn't been to the AFC Championship game in years. Lamar was just there. Josh doesn't have multiple MVPs to sit back on. We're always talking. We talked about it before this season. Josh is the most overrated player.
Paul had him overrated, I think.
Overhyped player.
Keyshawn had him overhyped. The players had him
Overrated. Every year at the beginning of the year, we talk about Josh Allen in the MVP race, what we expect from Buffalo. They win the division every single year. And this year, they didn't have a lot of expectations and are still here. So I think that the narrative around Josh will change more than it will around Lamar because Lamar can say, I just went to an AFC Championship game.
No, but
I'm on the road against Buffalo.
The problem, you can say that, right? They're on the road against Buffalo. He just played an AFC Championship game. It changes because the narrative goes back to you can't win with that style quarterback. Just think about what I'm saying. Even though, in my eyes, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson's skill sets are very similar. One's a little more wiry, obviously, in Lamar and things of that nature. But how he came into the league as the 31, he was either 31 or 32. I forgot where he got drafted, but at the bottom of the draft, he was told to take a look at another position along the way, leading into Ozzie Newsome making that his last draft pick. He did not start the season. He backed up Flacco. He took over. Then he turned into Lamar Jackson from that point to where we are today. But he hasn't won the championship.
But neither has Josh. And they're both in that big four, that Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. But
guess what they're going to say?
All of those other men have checked some sort of box.
Yeah, and guess what you're going to say? Josh didn't have nearly as much talent as Lamar. Josh couldn't do it by himself. Josh couldn't do it. That's what they're going to do.
But there's only so many times and they're losing in the divisional round again. Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be worse for Josh if they don't win this game at home. Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs, potentially a 3rd MVP this year. He just went to the AFC Championship game. Josh Allen hasn't been there in years. They haven't gotten past the divisional round in years. They've had different versions of teams. He's had an MVP-level season. Obviously, we know that the talent disparity from the Ravens and the Bills is significant. But at some point, you are what you are.
Oh, I get it. I'm just saying how the narrative is going to change from a public standpoint when people are looking at it because Josh doesn't have the talent around him.
Well, I think
it already started a couple weeks ago.
What if it's a shootout and it comes down to the wire? Like, does how the game go matter?
No, because if he loses, it's still going to be, he threw for 400 yards, but you can't win with that style.
And you go in as the favorite. You're going in as the favorite, too.
A point and a half. He's a real true favorite. Road,
but still, you're still the favorite. So but the expectations that you got from this team, it's going to take a hit if they don't get the win.
No, that's true. It is going to take a hit, for sure.
Well, if we're talking greatness, we must mention Patrick Mahomes, whose Chiefs are chasing the first ever NFL three-peat. So, Paul, what would a Super Bowl do for Mahomes' legacy?
It's going to be some uncomfortable conversations about who's the GOAT, just like the conversations we have today and have been having these conversations since LeBron won his last title about who's the greatest player. And yeah, LeBron don't have the same amount of titles as Jordan, and Mahomes won't have the same amount of titles, as Brady. But the thing is, you're going to say, hey, he did that, but he never did this. Mahomes is going to have that in his pocket. Like, if they three-peat, win 3 out of 4 titles, it's going to be hard argument, hard conversations, and it's going to be things that people aren't going to want to hear. And the conversation, like Key was talking in the back, the conversation
don't tell people what I was
had
saying.
already started. Wait. But you were like saying the conversation already started. I was like, no, the conversation about Mahomes and Brady hasn't started. But if he wins this one, the conversation going to pick up in the barbershops and in the gossip sites and wherever they talk football at. The conversation is going to be a lot of arguments going down if he wins his 3rd one in a row.
That conversation has already started about if Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback to ever play. That conversation started.
Yeah, I mean, people talk a lot about things that they don't know
and
nothing about.
it's gonna continue to go in that direction. Now, to answer your question, if he can win a three-peat, that means that he has won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. Think about that.
Wait, it's been
4 and 6.
it's 6. Okay.
4 and 6, but a three-peat. Something that Tom wasn't able to do or Joe Montana wasn't able to do.
Okay.
And he's still a puppy eating out of the small bowl right now. He ain't got to the big giant bowl by the door.
No, he got the big bowl.
No, he ain't. He doesn't because he's still young.
No, he still got the
He's
big
still
bowl.
young.
You understand dog years?
No,
They go fast. They
no.
go
What I'm
fast.
saying is he's still. What I'm saying is
They go
he's still
fast.
young and he's got
Hey,
so
listen,
much
my
more
dogs is
growth.
2 years old. And they eat out the big bowl.
Well, you
They
got them
grow
expensive
fast.
big old dogs. But I'm talking about that small bowl because he's still a puppy. And what I mean by a puppy, this is only a 7th
That's
season.
scary. That's scary.
So imagine if you tack on another 7 years. So let's just say, give him another 7. So that's 14. What will he do in the next 7? Because Andy Reid is not going anywhere, and he ain't slowing down. And as great as Kelsey is,
He gonna be.
they
out
could help.
He won't be
find-
around for the next round of championship.
Who?
Kelsey.
No, Kelsey won't.
Like just like how Brady had, he had different
Tight ends along the way.
cast members along the way.
He had guys along the way. But the head coach remained.
Yes.
And the quarterback remained. And that's all I'm saying about Patrick Mahomes, is the head coach ain't going nowhere no time soon.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's not a conversation. It's just not.
Yeah,
But it is.
I don't think it's a conversation.
I mean,
it
people
is.
can say lots of things. Like I said, people
Joy,
talk
it's
about a lot of
certainly a
things.
conversation. Here's a young man.
He hasn't passed Joe Montana up.
Yeah, he's not.
You can't just skip over him. You can't just skip.
We're
You
having this
gotta have
conversation
some
based on-
steps.
We're having this
He
conversation
ain't
based
passed
on
Joe.
him winning the Super Bowl. That's why we're having a conversation.
But right now, in order to
there's
have
no
the
conversation about him right
about
now.
to
him
have the
being
conversation
better
now.
than Tom Brady or in the conversation with Tom Brady, to Paul's point, there's a man that remains that is Joe Montana that he
get
also
that.
hasn't passed yet.
No, I understand
And
that.
it's not just about how many Super Bowls he's won, because Terry Bradshaw also has 4. But Joe Montana.
Yeah,
is
but that conversation
perfect.
with TB.
Joe Montana was the GOAT until Tom Brady came back against Atlanta and won that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And now we're all just going to stay in line, because this is what I'm talking about is the gospel. All right, it's the word. We don't.
Yeah.
There's black and then there's red. And the red part is what I'm talking about
But
right now. You know what I'm talking about.
Joy.
Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback that has ever played,
No.
and there's nobody else that we're discussing right
I
now.
get that's what you want to do.
However,
but we're not going to do it that way.
No, I make the rules. That's how it goes. However, if he was to three-peat,
Man.
Yes.
I'm going to have to consider another God, because no one has ever done that before.
Never mind.
I would still give Tom the nod because of the longevity of
you could do that.
of 20 years.
You'll probably be.
And we don't know what.
You'll be one of many people that feel that way.
If he wins this year, this will be the toughest life on the line drive between these two. Like Brady or Mahomes. You know what I'm saying?
But think about it, though. The dude's been in an AFC championship game every year that he became a full-time starter.
Yeah,
except
ridiculous.
this year, because we haven't gotten there yet. But every year, he's been in an AFC championship game, let alone going to Super Bowls, winning MVPs, and now he's on the brink of being a three-peater.
Well, not on the brink yet.
Well, I mean,
games.
Dude,
let's get the,
like you might be the only one.
When you on the brink.
You might be the only one that believe that Houston is going in there to beat Kansas City. You might be the only one.
I'm walking here on Monday.
Yeah, he doesn't believe that at all. He thinks it would be a
Okay.
miracle.
So
He is
then
gonna walk-
he's on the brink.
An 8-hour walk if
I'm
that
going
happens.
to 8-hour walk.
I mean,
He's right there.
I think they are going to three-peat, and I think that it will have to be a conversation at that point. Because if you can do something that's never been done in the history of the NFL with all of the great dynasties, including Tom Brady and the Patriots, you have to be in that conversation. But it hasn't started yet. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.